the country, they have proved incapable of doing that. So, like you said, ordinarily, he shouldn't lie in the mouth of Obaseki to start raising the kind of alarms that he has raised. Because he himself has been governor for 4 years. What is the performance of the locally generated revenue, the IGR of the state, compared to what he is getting from the federal level to merit him to begin to say or to begin to cry the kind of woe that he's crying, when his own performance locally at the state level is abysmal? It's nothing to write home about. It is not encouraging. So he himself could be said to be blameable or to be liable for what is happening at the center.
All right, let's move on, Mr. Kolawole, because of time. Let's move to there's a story on The Nation that says NBA urges probe of military invasion of Benue. There were reports last week of the military, of course, attacking certain positions in Benue State that led to lots of chaos. Do you agree that there should be a probe? And is this another example of the military's high-handedness, in their approach to fighting insecurity?
Absolutely, I agree with the NBA. What has happened in Benue State is a crime against humanity that should not be condoned at all. It is only in Nigeria that that kind of a thing can happen without an uproar. By now, I had expected that it wouldn't just be the NBA that will be crying, but different segments of the society as well. We have seen it severally happen in the past. It happened in Nodi. It happened in the Southeast, several times in the Southeast. It happened in the South-South. And then also Benue. And I think at the time, I don't know whether it's Taraba or one of these other states in the Middle Belt. Too many times, the Nigerian army have always handled a minor problem with a sledgehammer. And we say that is an irresponsible behavior that the international community will not condone. If one or two persons had ambushed or lay an ambush for the Nigerian army and killed their personnel, what one would have expected is for the Nigerian army to deploy intelligence to apprehend these people and bring them to book, not for you to take attack helicopters, rocket launchers, and then the infantry soldiers to invade the community, leveling houses, killing innocent people, just because of the infraction of about maybe 7 or 10 people. That shouldn't be tolerated at all. The bullets that they use, the bomb that they deploy, the attack helicopters that they use to bomb the people were bought with the taxpayers' money. And it is therefore an irresponsible behavior for you to start deploying weapons that the people bought for you to protect them against the same people. So I totally support the NPA. In fact, in my humble opinion, it shouldn't be handled locally. It should be an international issue in which those who have perpetrated criminality will be taken before the International Criminal Court at Hague and adequately punished for crime against humanity. Okay. Until we begin to treat these people the way they deserve to be treated, this arrogance on the part of the security people will never abate.
All right,
because this is what we see them do too many times without any consequences.
All right, quickly also...
They descended on the...
Mr. Kolawole, quickly also share in a minute or less your views on the Seyi Makinde and Fayose showdown in the PDP Southwest Congress.
Well, I am surprised that Makinde and Fayose were engaged in the kind of tango that they have engaged in. Why do I say this? I thought the PDP ought to have seen the serious challenges that they have in their hands of returning to power. And if they know they have an Herculean task of getting power back, they ought to put their houses in order. All these little skirmishes, this storm in a teacup, one shouldn't be silly with them. What we want to see is for them to be able to close ranks and be able to pose as a credible alternative, as a serious challenge, as an opposition party that is ready for power to the APC.
All right, Mr.
But
Kola.
with the kind of squabble we are saying, it would appear to me there isn't any difference between the APC, the PDP, and some of all these other political parties that we have on the ground today. Everything is about power, capturing of power at all costs, power without conscience, power with responsibility, power without thought for the feelings of the sufferings of the Nigerian people. So,
All right.
the people in the PDP should, for God's sake, sit up for the case of the Nigerian people,
All
so
right.
that we can begin to see the shades of things to come 2023.
To Nicola Wale, thank you so much for your time this morning and for expressing yourself on these stories. Looking forward to another conversation with you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wish you a lovely day.
You too.
You too.
All right. So many questions and so many points raised in Off the Press this morning. We hope that in the course of the program this morning, we may be able to unbundle a lot more of these issues. Thanks for staying with us. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going into Today in History here on The Breakfast.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back to The Breakfast here on Plus TV Africa. It's time for Today in History, where we get to share with you things that happened on this day many years ago. And I'm going back to the year 2013. It's a story from Mali and, of course, involves Chadian soldiers. On this day, at the 12th of April in 2013, there was a suicide bomb that went off, and 4 Chadian soldiers were killed. 5 civilians also were injured in an attack by 2 suicide bombers in Kidal, Mali. It was a Friday morning, and a group of Chadian soldiers stationed in Kidal went to the local market to buy supplies at around 9:50 a.m., according to, of course, to eyewitnesses. One of the group of suicide bombers made its debut, and the suicide bomber detonated his explosive belts in a nearby market stall. According to the residents, the incident occurred on a street commonly frequented by Chadian soldiers, located about 100 meters from the town market itself. The first bomber was said to have been neutralized before he could explode his belt, but a second one succeeded, letting out a deadly blast that destroyed parts of the market and also injured 5 bystanders. The expected death toll was likely to rise. And following the explosion, army checkpoints were placed in the 4 main entrances to Kidal in fear that many or more suicide bombers can infiltrate the city as early as they did that morning. The 4th Chadian soldier who was injured in the attack died overnight, eventually in a hospital in Gao. 3 other wounded soldiers were evacuated to a military hospital in Bamako, where from their military officials claimed that they were in no life-threatening conditions. All right, and all these happened on this day, 12th of April in 2013. And it brings, of course, more of these conversations as to what happens with insecurity and terrorism in this part of the world in Africa. Over time, in the last couple of years, we've also heard of the efforts by the Chadian military and the president to rid his country and that part of his country of Boko Haram and whatever type of insurgent group exists in those places. And there has been recorded levels of success, according to him. It's also a reminder of when suicide bombs were popular as a means of terrorism in West Africa, mostly here in Nigeria. It was around that era. It started around 2010, I believe, and all through that period, you know, from former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration, there was a lot of these suicide bombs.
Yeah.
After his administration, of course, the tactics have changed, and we're seeing
so we don't have suicide bombings anymore in Nigeria. You have banditry, kidnappings, and all of that. Right, but you see, the thing about the story you just took is that same president, same Idris Deby.
Idris Deby.
It's the one that's going for a re-election. Again, I mean, he's been there for years. But let's not dwell on that, right? So Osaoge talked about charging soldiers and suicide bombers. Let me tow a different path, yeah? Let's take you to the U.S. Same day, the 12th of April, 2013, yeah? Yeah, here we go now. I have it. See, I got caught up in Osaoge's story, and I'm still trying to talk about that. But this is the one. I want to talk about a Grammy Award-winning singer. His name is James Brown. So the soul singer was freed from prison 16 months. But before he went to prison, this is what happened. Singer James Brown, he was moved to work in a release center in 1990 after serving for 15 months. The Grammy-winning soul singer was freed from prison after 16 months so that he can begin a work release program. He was serving concurrent 6-year terms for leading police on a wild border-crossing chase in 1988. So he will enter a work release program acting as a sort of a counselor with the Icon and Barnwell County's Community Action Commission. And so he also would stay in the office during the day and will return on nights and weekends to the Lower Savannah Work Center in the same place. So here are the charges, right? Charges against Brown included failure to stop for police officers in South Carolina and Georgia. Authorities said Brown had tried to run down officers with his pickup truck during a wild car chase along the border between the two states in 1988. So the police said that on the 24th of September 1988, fracas began when Brown burst into a Savannah office building he owned and began waving a shotgun at people attending an insurance seminar. So authorities said apparently Brown was angry that someone had used his private bathroom, and then he tested positive for the drug PCP after his September 1988 arrest and pleaded no contest to possession of the same substance following an earlier incident in Icon County. So what jumps out at you in this story? For me, here's it. Brown was angry because someone used his private bathroom.
Yes, and he has every right to be angry, doesn't he?
Duh.
I mean, for someone who had
your gun.
Well, you know, you also mentioned he tested positive for PCP.
Oh, yeah,
so
okay,
there's also the drug, aspect of it.
The effect.
And for someone who had a, career that spanned over 50 years, he eventually died in 2006 from pneumonia.
Yeah.
But for someone who had a career that massive and, who is, a complete legend and icon in black music, history.
Yeah, he is legendary.
Yeah, every now and then you expect that they will have their own outbursts. They will have their own, times when they totally lose control of themselves.
So he has bragging rights. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
All right. So this is what also caught my attention: the system there. So he went to jail, and then when he came out, he worked.
Yeah.
This is what you call correctional. That's what they say. Our facilities in Nigeria are supposed to be correctional facilities. Maybe they should imbibe stuff like this.
Yes, and how many people go to jail and come out better people here in Nigeria, and, there's also been conversations about we should change some of our laws to make it easy for people to do community service instead of going to jail. There are certain crimes that you commit in Nigeria that you don't necessarily need to spend 5 years in jail, but it's so bad that people who haven't even been sentenced or convicted of anything, would spend a decade in prison awaiting trial. And
come out worse.
And come out worse, absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot of lapses in our criminal justice system, a lot of lapses in our correctional system that it would take a miracle to fix because, there's not, been any political will or anybody who has shown enough interest to see that these things are faulty. People should be able to do community service. People should be able to sweep marketplaces because they committed petty crimes. There's so many of these crimes that don't necessarily need to go to, you don't need to go to jail. You know, you should go, you know, and teach for a couple of months as your punishment. You should be able to sweep, you should
go
places.
Teach?
Yeah, I mean.
So what if you're not a qualified teacher?
Well, whatever it is, you know, helping, you know, the educational sector, helping
maybe
agriculture.
sweep, like you said, or clear some grasses.
Yes, you know, instead of going to jail. But instead, we just throw people in jail for, you know, 5-6 years for crimes that actually mean absolutely nothing. Someone steals a phone, you send him to jail for 4 or 5 years. Why? Someone steals, you know, a chicken, you know, they send you to jail. Why?
You see what you just said? You steal a phone, they send you to jail, and you probably go there and learn how to steal a car.
You become worse. You know, a lot of times you become worse, and you know, your anger with the system even increases over that period that you're in jail. So yes, James Brown is our second discussion this morning today in history, and of course we also shared with you an incident, a suicide bombing that led to the death of 4 Chadian soldiers in the year 2013 in Mali. That's for today in history. Stay with us. First major conversation we're getting into now, the suspension of the National Association of Resident Doctors strike. They are meant to resume work today, and we're having a conversation next with the president of NARD, Dr. Okaihesui Uyilawa. Stay with us.
It's that time of the year again for Africa's largest and most diverse gathering of workplace professionals, C-level executives, policymakers, SMEs, and startups. It's the HREA Work Festival 2021, coming up on the 14th to 15th of April 2021. The 2-day event will take place physically at the Landmark Event Center, Victoria Island, Lagos, while the virtual participants will be joining via the HREA's dedicated AI-powered multi-room virtual hub. Get ready as you experience 80 speakers, over 100 sessions, and 30 corporate exhibitors. The theme for this year's event is Borderless Work. Stellar speakers at the event include Segun Ogunsoya, Deborah Wainswig, Lekan Ogunbawo, Adeolu Adewumi Zer, Sabrina G, and many others. At the event, there will be masterclass certified sessions from the London South Bank University, Tekedia Institute, and Lagos Business School. Register now at www.hrexpoafrica.com or send an email to registration@hrexpoafrica.com. Headline sponsor, Bastion HMO.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The special anti-robbery squad who are now killing innocent citizens instead of dealing with robbers. Your axe will catch up with you. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let everybody come and say.
The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you don't talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
viewers here on Plus TV Africa. Our next major conversation this morning is going to be on something on human resources. There is a massive, massive program coming up in, about 1 day, 22 hours, 55 minutes and a couple of seconds. And we're speaking this morning with the convener of what is called HREA, Arefa Koka. And we're also joined this morning by keynote speaker, Tim Salau. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good morning.
All right, so let me start with, of course, I mentioned there's a countdown, 1 day, 22 hours and a couple of minutes. What is HREA all about, and how long has it been in existence?
So the HREA is an international conference. Initially, we started off as an HR conference because we felt there was a need, there was a gap in the conferencing market for people to learn international conference. So we started by, it's expensive to go to the international conference, right? So we decided that to fill the gap in place, we decided to set up this conference where we bring speakers from all over the world, including our own speakers in Nigeria, bring them into a room and get people to attend the conference without actually looking for cost of travel, cost of thing. And so we were running that for the last 5 years. This is our 6th one. Obviously, last year we had to go virtual because of COVID-19. And so this year we are still virtual. So we're running an hybrid event, which is in person and virtual. And last year, just before the start of COVID, we had events transitioned from just an HR conference to an all-encompassing work festival with 7 stages. We're going to talk about, one of the sessions we're talking about was digital transformation in the workplace and things like that. We've been marketing since November 2019, and then come March 2020 to April, everybody moved to the digital transformation, COVID first. Digital transformation in the workplace. So those are topics that we've constantly spoken about since we started our conference in 2016. Digital transformation, how people can work from home. I remember in 2019, we had a keynote panel discussion, and we were talking about, and one of the questions I was asking the panelists was, would you allow your staff to work from home? And most of them, no, Nigerians, blah, 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 blah. 2020 was forced upon everybody.
Yeah, we're going to bring in Tim in a bit, but I want to ask, why you think conversations on human resources are important in Nigeria. Do people care that much about it?
Yes, because as the new generation is coming to the workplace, it's not business as usual. They want to understand, why am I coming to work for you? What is the benefit of working for you? What is in place? What is my mental well-being? Can I work flexible? What is the engagement? It's all about employer branding. Yeah. You have to brand. People have to know they want to work for you. They have to be proud to work with you as an organization. Yes, there's a lot of unemployment in Nigeria, but the young generation coming up, the generation Z and the millennials, they want to go into a workplace where they're proud of. They want to understand why they should work for you. Yeah. So you have to sell yourself as a business. So it's important that the organization understand how to manage their human resource, which is the most important asset in the organization, and get them to just set the right places. And because the world is global now, and obviously since March it's become more tinier, so everybody knows what's going on in different organizations.
So can we dig deeper a bit, right? So we are saying HR, for somebody who just joined us. Explain, who is the human resource person? And then where is your focus? Is it on the branding of the organization or on the welfare of the workforce? Is there a middle ground? Let's talk about it.
Okay, so now you say who is the human resource? As I said to you, our conference is expanded into not just for HR people, because we realize that everybody must be part of managing, whether you're a line manager, you're managing your colleagues within the office, you're managing their mental well-being, you're managing everything that surrounds them. So you must understand how to manage people, you must understand what the organization, so it's about the people, not just the organization. It's always about the people. So not about the organization, we're not trying to firefight.
I want to bring in Tim, you're a keynote speaker. Yeah. You look very excited to be
I am.
So tell us about, the theme for this one is borderless work. So tell us a little bit about that, and what do you think people would learn or, achieve if they are part of this conference?
It's a powerful thing. And I think what we're starting to realize is that with the decentralization of the workforce and the access to global distribution with the internet, that work is completely borderless now. You do not have to go into an office to be productive. And if we are going to reflect on COVID-19, what we realize is that employees can work at home effectively. They don't need to be in an office to be productive. And top institutions and companies such as Microsoft, Google, us at Guide, we're also realizing the same thing.
Are people as effective as they would be if they were, in the workplace, when they work from home?
Yeah, I think that what we're starting to realize is that they're not. And it doesn't really matter. Their distinction does not matter. What matters more so is, are you creating that employee experience, employee branding? And if you're creating that lifestyle experience for your people, they're going to love to work wherever. I mean, what we're currently now seeing as a theme is this idea of the hybrid workforce. And essentially that means that people want optionality. Yes. They want to be able to work at home sometimes, and then they also want to be able to work in an office sometimes. And I think what really hits home with that is actually this idea of what I love, going in on the personalized employee experience. How do you make it feel as if your people, no matter where they work, they feel connected to the brand?
Can I ask this thing? The 9-to-5 culture in Nigeria versus working from home. All right. So which is it? How do you now undo the 9-to-5 mentality? How do you tell an employer that your staff does not have to work for 10 hours to be productive? How do you intend to tackle that?
Yeah, I love that you asked that, because what we're actually currently seeing in the United States and America is that even companies that have employees who have a 9-to-5, what they're doing is this really interesting thing called batch scheduling. And they're allowing their people to come into work within that 9-to-5 at a certain amount of time, right? And then allowing them to go home and spend time with their families, be a part of their community, right? Go visit different villages in the area. And I think the same thing can apply to Naija, right? And the community here in Lagos as well, if you think about it, right? Because there's very flexible structure. People are able to roam around, people can drive, right? And what we're actually seeing in America right now is that we're embracing the same mentality that we see here in Nigeria. It's very interesting if you think about it.
Reduce the traffic in Lagos if everyone... Absolutely. Tell us a little bit more about the other speakers that are invited. It seems like there's about 80 of them in this one.
We have various keynotes. We have the MD of Alliance Insurance Nigeria, Adeolu Zare. We've got the MD of Airtel. Those are some of our other keynote speakers. We have Brenda Taga, who is going to talk about something interesting, the gas innovation, because again, we're always talking about innovation. We have Sabrina G, who's going to be talking to people, entrepreneurs, startups, or even people in business about the power of platforms. Because I think that entrepreneurs in Nigeria need to embrace using platform sales. And we have Uzoma Dozie, who's going to be talking about fintech. And we've got Professor Ndubisi Ekeke, who is one of our keynotes, talking about borderless work as well. And we have also of other speakers talking about. So we have 7 stages actually. We've got the leadership stage, the well-being stage, the human resource stage, the startup stage, Africa in focus trends.
It looks like you're going the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely.
Right? All right, but can I ask? You said this is like the 6th year into this. Yes. How successful have you been? Is it working? This festival you've been hosting, do you see any positive?
It's a labor of love, and because it's something we're passionate about. I'm very intentional about building Africa, and I believe that only Africa can build Africa. So for me, yes, we bring international speakers to come in, but most out of our 80 speakers, at least 70 of them are Africans and Nigerians working in Nigeria, because we are the only ones that can build ourselves.
Yeah, but so how impactful is it?
So that's what I'm saying. So the impact is because we coming to speak about issues in Nigeria it's been impactful because we're in the workplace. So it's fine. People like Tim coming because Tim is Nigerian, right? Well, he lives in America.
Well, he sounds right.
Yeah, he lives in America. So he comes in and tells us what is obtainable, yes, in the Western world. But our speakers will marry what is obtainable and what we can do here and make sure we get the best. And that's what we've been delivering for the last 6 years.
I am very excited every time I hear of a person. I'm going to Tim now, a person who used to work here in Lagos or work in Enugu or wherever, who's got a job in Canada, you know, and they're still in Enugu working, you know, and, you know, earning now in foreign currency. So it's you know, it basically defines borderless work. But do you think that we'll get to a place where every type of job, can I work from home? I work on TV. Do you think we'll get to that place where every job will be able to?
Of course, I think so.
From home?
You know what?
They did it throughout. They did it throughout the pandemic in the U.S. and the UK. It was, was done.
You know, Trevor Noah. You remind me a lot of Trevor Noah, actually. You know, Trevor Noah. He worked
can't wait. I want to wear my boxer shorts and just wear this. You know, put this on.
I think apart from people that work in the factory lines where you're manufacturing, there's actually most jobs can be done from home, and it's just embracing. And for me, what I've always preached, and as I said in 2019, is this trust. Once there's a trust economy. That's what we have to build, especially in Nigeria. Once you trust that, trust your employees that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. You don't need to monitor them. You don't need to be the club's captain where you. And as long as we are result focused, forget about. At the end of the day, it's not hard work. It's not the effort. It's the result. So if you say to me, you need to deliver this by 2 o'clock. Forget that if I'm going to get to my desk at 1:30 and deliver at 2 o'clock, I will deliver it. Right. Forget what I'm doing between 9 o'clock and 2 o'clock. As long as I'm delivering that project by 2 o'clock.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm telling you. So is this also about keeping an open mind on the side of the employer now?
That's what I said. It's open mind and just trust. Okay. Trust because they're adults. You trusted them to give them the job when they came for the interview. Trust that they can deliver on the job. Forget about they're using if you provide data for them, because obviously Nigeria's data is key, you know. Forget that they're using your data to watch Netflix. As long as they're delivering on the job, it doesn't matter. They're adults. They know they're responsible for what they're supposed to do, and they'll deliver when they're supposed to deliver. That's all. Yes. That's all I think employers need to be able to say to.
There are, I mean, the Nigerian stories, you know, obviously comes with its own hitches here and there. The internet, you know, challenge is something. I saw someone post I think it was about 2 weeks ago, that he couldn't get a job outside Nigeria because they complained about Nigeria's internet speed and all of that. Do you think this is going to be encouraging for people who attend this conference? It's going to be encouraging for them to apply for jobs outside Nigeria, knowing that they can work from home.
You know what? I think it's actually important that they apply for jobs within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria, because what we're seeing is that the economy now is flexible with borderless work. So if you do want to freelance your talent, your services online, feel free to, right? Because there are definitely people in America. We even at Guide, we work with a lot of Nigerian communities and people in Nigeria, actually, and helping them with graphic design work. In fact, one of my co-founders, Taban Cosmos, he's going to be speaking at the same event as well. And we do a lot of work with, you know, children and kids in the Nigerian community online, right? So so this is us in America being able to come back to Nigeria due to borderless work. And I think that's a powerful theme that can also apply to Nigeria.
Okay, sounds phenomenal.
Absolutely.
What's the next, how many days is this going to be running?
It's for 2 days. So it starts on Wednesday and it finishes on Thursday.
How do you push in 80 speakers in 2 days?
Because we run sessions simultaneously, they run concurrently. So we have 7 sessions running concurrently every hour. So you choose what you want to attend. So we're not forcing you to sit down and listen to Team if you don't want to listen to Team. Just listen to your favorite speaker.
There's something you said earlier on that it is evolved into a work festival. Yes. It's not just the HR anymore.
It's not just focused on HR people.
Right, which is a good thing, right?
Yes.
So what are some of the other things you're going to focus on?
We're going to talk about technology. As I said, we're talking about fintech. You know, obviously I'm so excited about fintech.
Oh, okay,
it's it's so sexy in Nigeria now.
Really?
You know, there's some
fintech
work.
is sexy?
No, there's some I said in Nigeria, it's so sexy. We have our stories. We have Paystack, we have Flutaway. Those are our success stories. So it's make us so sexy.
Yeah.
We're talking about wellness, mental well-being, protecting yourself, because you find that when we work from home, especially as Nigerian employees, as I said, because we want to, I'm an employer, right? And I understand that people want to overplease their staff. They want them to understand that they're working. You find that they work beyond, even in the UK, studies have shown that people they take meetings longer because you're working from home. You work longer than you should, even more than your 9 to 5. And people are also suffering from fatigue, Zoom fatigue, mental fatigue. So we need to talk about things like our mental well-being, even our financial well-being. It's very important for employers to be interested in the financial well-being of their staff. And those are the things that we are pushing with the Work Festival.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Team, what are you most excited to talk about in this next 2 days?
I think it's this idea that the workforce is becoming decentralized. And it just fits into the theme of borderless work. That's a really powerful theme because what it means is that now that talent, it's not nested to a location, and that's actually really powerful because that means that talent has the optionality to work here, whether it be in Lagos or to offer your services in America as well. So that means you're able to get money from multiple dimensions and angles, right? That's powerful. That's powerful. So I'm really excited to talk to that because that fits in the theme of borderless work. Okay,
and there's I saw something on your website also, networking, which is also going to be happening a lot in the next 2 days.
Yes. So we've got speed networking. It's on the virtual app. So every 10 minutes, we're going to get everybody to speed network. Wow. So you can speak to as many people as you want to talk to and just get to know yourself, exchange contacts, and just build a relationship. Your network is your network. Is your network.
You're whetting my appetite already. I'm telling you. So is there a process, for those that are interested?
So go onto our website, www.HRExpo.Africa, and click on register. You can choose to attend the virtual session or the in-person. In-person is limited to just 300 people because of the COVID-19 restrictions. And voila, you're in.
Okay, all right.
Sounds good.
I'm excited. I'm excited really about the conversation concerning borderless work and where we're headed. And I hope that Nigeria will not be slow with this. Let's get everyone to understand the idea of borderless work, of virtual work, of basically being able to, and also better treatment of employees in the workspace.
Right.
A lot of Nigerian employers need to understand that.
True.
100%. God. It's 1 day, 22 hours, 39 minutes, and as at this moment, 24 seconds left to the HREA Work Festival. And it's been very, very interesting speaking with Erefa Koka.
Absolutely.
Who's the convener, and Team Salau. Thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome.
And we hope that many more people get involved with this. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you don't talk, they go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say. The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby is presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "What? Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
have that
showing my private parts.
conversation.
I want
Yeah,
to put it
someone-
in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Welcome back to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Next conversation this morning is going to be with the president of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Okwayesu Uyilawa. And of course, with the announcement of a suspension of the NARD strike, doctors are meant to resume work today. Good morning, Doc. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for pronouncing my name well.
Thanks for joining. I'm from Edo State, so I should be able to pronounce it.
Yes.
All right, so let's get straight into it. There's been, the last week, basically, last 10, 11 days, has been pretty tough for doctors, for the federal government, and for patients. But good thing the strike has been suspended. And of course, doctors are expected to resume work today. So tell us what happened in the meetings that you had, what were the agreements that were signed with the Nigerian government.
Thank you very much. Dr. Uyilawa Okwayesu, President, Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. It has been a 10 days painful, shameful path that the government has pushed us to going on a strike. The strike was meant to achieve some basic things. One, the remunerations for our members. Two, to put more light on the decay in the health system. The COVID-19 exposed the health system, and that's why most leaders tend to want to go for medical tourism. As it stands, over about 1,000 plus of our members that are interns have not been paid salaries. Over 2,000 members of our members on the gift mix have still not been paid salary. Over 16,000 the gift mix have not been paid salaries. Over 5,000 naira used to pay our hazard allowance. You see 5,000, even Rep and House of Senate have newspaper allowance of 1.2 million or hazard allowance of 1.2 million. We lost 7, and we have lost other members to other illnesses Lassa fever, Ebola, and the rest. We are still being paid 5,000 naira. The death and service insurance have not been paid to any of our members. Those are the items, part of the items that made us to go on the strike. We had a marathon of meetings on Friday, first by the House of Rep that was called by the Honorable Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, and it was supervised by the committee chairman on health, Dr. Tanko Solondo. We were able to come at this agreement to say that to mandate that the MDTN chairman to go and pay the doctors that have worked for 4 months and have not been paid. Also, the Budget Office and the Ministry of Health, we are mandated to go through the list for members on the GIPMIS platform. And they were made to verify the list and make sure that they will be paid in this week, for their salaries for 4 months. Also from there, we went to the Ministry of Labor with other stakeholders, where it was agreed that a meeting will be conducted today in the Ministry of Finance to try and see ways they can review the 5,000 naira that is paid for the hazard allowance. My apologies, I'm not missing the hazard and hardship. Thank you very much.
Okay, Doctor, let's dig in deeper, right? You said, your words, I'm quoting you right now, that the strike has been suspended because government gave us good comebacks. That's what you said. But you also said that in 4 weeks, if your needs are not met, you're going to go back to striking. It's like you're wielding a stick and you're telling government we are watching you and all of that. Is it possible for this to be done in 4 weeks?
So let's go back to the memory lanes again. For over 10 years, the same thing, apart from the remuneration for the house officers and those on GIPMIS, are those who have asked government over and over and over again. So it's a recurring issue because most times the doctors do not honor the Memorandum of Understanding or MOA. Sorry, the government. But now, because the Honorable Speaker is intervening and he has helped us previously, is why we are honoring him. But you cannot just tell me that because we want to honor him, we will not make a caveat and tell them that there's a timeline. Because most times before now, when the MOAs, MOUs, or mottos are signed and we are able to suspend the strike, the government tends to go to sleep. Till another time again when we strike. So that is why the caveat was left that in 4 weeks' time, the National Executive Council will be called to come and review what the MOA that have been honored by government.
All right. So do you trust, the government this time, or you're simply banking on the 4 weeks threat or 4 weeks statement that has been given? Do you trust that this agreement might be treated different if you've spoken about your experience in the last decade?
I'm trusting the Honorable Speaker of the House, Dr. Femi Gbajabiamila.
Okay, so is your grouse just with the federal government, or do you have a fight with state governments who are owing your members' salaries as well? I mean, Abia, I understand, owes resident doctors.
I didn't get that question.
Okay, so I'm saying, is your fight just with the federal government or with state governments as well? I mean, in some states, some state governments are owing your members, right?
The state governments are actually worse. I'll give you examples. In Absolute, in Abia State, the governor has refused to pay them salaries for over 20 months. We've sent a delegation to meet him on Thursday last week. And what we were told was that they will only honor the one that is responsible for. That is responsible for just 10 months, and that is what he's going to honor. And he forgets that government is a continuum. I'll talk about Imo State also. They're owing salaries for over 5 months, and nothing is being done about it. We're able to reach out to the Governors Forum, which at several times called them and told them that we have issues in your state. And up till now, they have not answered us for about 6-7 months. So I think some of the governors are not responsible enough to their citizens.
So how then do you explain this to your to doctors to resident doctors basically, that you've had agreements with the federal government on certain of the issues that you raised? They've made a promise that in the next 4 weeks these things will be answered, but you're not sure if the state governments will do same.
The federal and state are two different things entirely.
Yes.
And the federal does not place rules on states.
Yeah. So
they got like a concordance. So, and we have been able to explain to our members that we still use the Honorable Mr. Speaker to be able to get a way forward and appeal through the Governors Forum to be able to talk to the governors of those states.
Well, I'm not sure if appealing would work. If for 20 months people have been owed salaries, I don't know what type of appeals will work in this place. But tell me about how you, because I don't know if all doctors, all resident doctors are on the same page with you on this agreement. For those who,
I'll give you an example. I work in a state institution. I work in Delta State. And Delta State governor have been able to make our salaries even better than those in federal offices. And that is why our service delivery is top-notch there. And the decision to suspend the strike was not just taken by only federal. It was taken by both federal and state. And they have confidence in the NOC to do the right thing in making sure we move forward.
Okay, so I don't know if Osaoge is satisfied with the answer, but it looks, what I hear you say is that your trust is on the speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila. I mean, you keep saying the speaker. So how about some of the resolutions you guys have made? You say that you're urging the federal government to remove the medical training from the concurrent list to allow for universal implementation of Medical Residency Training Act across the federation, right? Why is this so important?
Medical Residency Training Act, residency is the program that will run through before we become specialist consultants. And it takes about 7 to 8 years, depending on the field you are in. And they are broken down into 3 different parts. There's the primaries, there's the secondary, and there's before you become a consultant. And each of these residency training goes through lots of updates of about 3 to 5, and you have to write exams. So the Medical Residency Training Fund was not budgeted for in 2020, and it took the Speaker of the House for them to raise money for the residency training for 2020. The 4 billion naira was released for the Medical Residency Training Fund then. But however, the amount budgeted for it was 4.4 billion. So that means that most of our members were paid, and about 1,003 were not paid. And with the Honorable Speaker, we have been told that the supplementary budget will be made for those ones to be paid. For those for 2021, the National Postgraduate College, which is the body in charge of training of all residents in Nigeria, have been told to submit the list to the Ministry of Health and to the IP's office for onward payment of the resident training fund.
Okay, well, we have about 4 weeks to go. And hopefully some of the agreements that you had with the government will come to pass, like you've mentioned. I want to know, how certain we are about the 4 weeks deadline, and if these things, aren't done as the government has said, is that certain that the resident doctors will be going back on strike?
We're hopeful that with the agreement signed in the House of Rep and in the Labour Office, and the channels put up that most of them have been coming on. I'll give you examples. For the House officers, some of them have been paid now, and some of them are already getting a lot as of this morning. I've been told by the Budget Office that the list have been sent to them, and they are investigating the people on Gizmix. And by next few days, they'll be through with it, and their former salaries will be paid. I'm also aware that a meeting is going to hold today in the Ministry of Finance in ways to try and review the money meant for the hazard allowance. I'm also aware that for the chief medical directors, that there's a list and the form that have been put there for the death in service insurance, and for the local chapters to go and get the list and give the loved ones of those we lost, for them to feel and the benefits to be claimed for the group life insurance. So that's where we stand now.
All right, we'll be keeping in touch with you, and hopefully, these things, like you've said, will be done as the federal government has, agreed with you. And hopefully there wouldn't be another strike. Thank you very much, Dr. Uilawa Okwayesui, for speaking with us. And we wish you a great Monday and a great week ahead. All right. Stay with us here on The Breakfast, Plus TV Africa. Coming up next.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the big one, right? Governor Obaseki says, looks like Nigeria is failing. We'll tell you more, so just stick with us, right? Okay.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The special anti-robbery squad, who are now killing innocent citizens instead of dealing with robbers. Your axe will catch up with you. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare. Sundays, 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
Now 500 naira they collect them.
If you don't talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
A lot of the jobs that exist today will not exist in the next 10 years.
10 years.
When I see people today shouting, we're not too young to run, we are ready to run. Ready to run to where?
The people of excellence are, to a certain extent, being held ransom by idiots and bandits.
Once you are in government, you believe believe everything you do is right. And once you are in opposition, everything the government does is wrong.
And so it's time for us to take over power.
Great to have you back here on The Breakfast. Our final conversation this morning is going to be talking of financial troubles and the controversy that emerged over the weekend after the Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, alleged that the Nigerian government printed as much as 60 billion naira to augment March allocation. We are joined this morning by Mr. Adetilewa Adebajo, a financial analyst. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's been a lot of conversations, since this statement was made by the Edo State Governor. There's people who have, shared their fears of where we're headed as a nation with regards to our economy and our finances. And there's those who say, oh, this is not a problem. Every country prints money. This is nothing to be worried about. What exactly are your thoughts? Do you agree that this really shouldn't be an issue because many countries across the world print their own money and it's nothing?
Well, we have to take a look at the facts. I think what is important is that, yes, there is what you call the ways and means, and when you have a situation where, with the pandemic and a lot of all these things, a lot of the central bank interventions are done with this sort of financing. But you have to take a look at the Nigerian situation, and it's important for us not to mix apples with oranges. What are the facts? Nigeria's debt stock stands now at 86 billion US dollars. 5 years ago, the external debt was only 10 billion. That has multiplied by 3 times in 5 years to from $10 billion to like $33 billion. So that is where the cause of concern is. Then the domestic debt stock has gone up by about 10 to 15 trillion in just 5 years. From about maybe 50 now, we're looking at about 65. So the total debt stock now is at $85 billion, and if we're not careful, can hit 100 billion. So what you ask yourself, first of all, is what have we been doing with all this debt in the last 5 years? The unfortunate thing about the debt of the last 5 years, most of it has gone into financing the budget deficit and more or less financing recurrent expenditure, i.e., in simple terms, we have been borrowing to pay salaries instead of borrowing to make investments. So that's number one. Number two, let's take a look at the Central Bank Act. The Central Bank is guided by laws and procedures. And one of the procedures is that the Central Bank should not finance more than a certain percentage of the government deficit directly. Okay, but the Central Bank has exceeded these limits. So that is really where the problem is. Then you have to take a look at the next thing, which is the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which guides government expenditure. The head of state himself, in his budget speech, alluded to the fact that they have exceeded.
Are you talking about the president?
Guidance. Yes, the president, yes.
Okay.
He has exceeded in his budget speech, the last budget speech, alluded to the fact that they have violated the guidelines of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. So right now, my own issue is the fact that we have violations of both the Central Bank Act and the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And of course, maybe because of the situation of the pandemic and the fact that we entered into a recession. So the government needs to make that adjustment to be able to regularize its position through the National Assembly by passing laws and to be able to see things. And the Central Bank needs to refinance some of its loans that it has used to finance the deficit and push it into the right instrument, which are more like market-driven instruments. So this is really where the challenge is. There's a need for the government to do some serious financial restructuring to be able to get within the terms of the law. That is really where the problem is.
So let me pick your brains a bit, right? Is that okay? So you talked about debt and how the monies are being spent.
Yes.
So it's not so much the debt, but how the monies have been spent, right?
Yes.
And you economists will also say that you spend your way out of a recession.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
And so Nigeria was able to come out of a recession recently, and it shocked the IMF. So is this totally a bad situation, or it just needs to be tweaked a bit?
It is a bad situation. You are in fiscal deficit. You are violating your Fiscal Responsibility Act. And you're also violating your Central Bank Act. So we need to move back and we need to align with the tenements of those acts. So the central bank needs to refinance a significant amount of its debt, and the federal government also needs to be able to manage its finances. 85 to 90% of government revenues is currently going towards debt service. It's not sustainable. Therein lies the problem. So, and that is why you see that, okay, maybe they had to print money to augment that whole area. But there's a lot of structural adjustment and a lot of financial restructuring because of the problems of the weak economic growth and the pandemic. So the central bank needs to refinance a lot of its debt, and the Ministry of Finance needs to go through a lot of structural adjustments to be able to meet the terms of the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
I'm not sure how we would achieve all of this, but people have also mentioned, in this conversation, people have mentioned Venezuela and Zimbabwe and, you know, other countries that we're not trying to be like economically. Are those fears genuine? And, you know, can people say things like that if we're not careful, we might get to that point where the Naira gets, you know, to the level that Venezuela's currency got?
Well, yes. I mean, if we're not careful, that's the word, that's the key word. You know, this is how it starts. You know, the fact that your revenues can no longer, you're using 90% of your revenues to service debt. That is a very, very strong signal. So you need to go through a lot of structural adjustments to be able to reverse this situation. So what we're saying is that we understand the situation. We understand there's been a pandemic, but we understand also that the economic situation is also not very good, because right now, the problem of Nigeria now is stagflation, high unemployment, low economic growth, and these are very severe issues. So this stagflation situation is worse than the recession. Coming out of a recession does not really mean much. Our population is growing at 3.5% per annum. In the last 5-6 years, our economy has grown only by 2.9% as the highest. And within that last 5 years, we've seen 2 recessions. So basically, our economic growth in the last 5 years has not met the level of our population growth. So these really are the challenges we have. So you can now begin to see that the symptoms, you are now having fiscal challenges on top of all these things. So there's a need for a serious structural adjustment of the Nigerian economy on the fiscal side and on the monetary side. But the monetary side, the central bank is holding their ground, and they've done what they need to do. So all they just need to do is to refinance a lot of these debts and put them into the right debt instruments to comply with the tenements of the CBN Act.
So there is hope, right?
There is always hope.
There is always hope.
If you do, it's now the question of there is hope. What you need to do is you need to do the right things. You need to implement the right policies, and then you see the results.
Okay, it's worthy to note that in one of the papers you and I read this morning, the federal government, denied. I didn't print any monies, like the governor alleged.
Yes, I mean, and that is the right of the central bank has a right of reply. And I think that is very important for them to say that they didn't, because they are the ones that manage the ways and means. You know, so, and their own position must also be met with that of the governor. But the issues that we're talking about that we have, those ones remain relevant. And that is why I went through the facts. You know, so there is a CBN Act and there's a Fiscal Responsibility Act. And right now, we're not in line with the tenements of that act. And, you know, we need to get to realignment.
Well, hopefully there's a member of the government's financial team and the CBN and the Minister of Finance understand some of all these things as well as you do, and we maybe take the right steps.
No, definitely. I think the central bank, from its last policy pronouncements in the last MPC, I think they addressed all these issues head on. But the question is that they know they're printing, but, you know, they have a program. And, you know, and that is what they've done with a lot of the CBN interventions that you've seen.
I think that's a safe place to land. Osagie?
Absolutely. I mean, we had this conversation without fear-mongering. And, you know, and everyone who, because I've read a lot of the reactions to this online, and everyone just keeps mentioning Venezuela and Zimbabwe. You know,
that's the fear.
Exactly.
So everybody's afraid that, look, let us manage this situation properly and address these issues head on now so that we don't get to that level.
Hopefully we don't.
We don't, yeah.
Adetilewa Adebajo, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thanks for speaking with us and making us not so scared. That's all we have for you this morning.
Absolutely.
It's been a very interesting Monday morning. Of course, talking about the NIRD suspension of their strike, HREA and their workshop that is coming up in a day, or a little above a day. And of course, the statements by Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State. We want to wish you guys a very interesting Monday ahead. If you missed out on any of these conversations, remember to catch up on our social media platforms at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Same with our YouTube channel.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out with us today. And do have a good day. I am Vivian Oguche.
And I am Osaugie Ogbonwan.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. You have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say. The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Contrary to popular belief, corona is not a hoax. The virus is real. Be responsible, wear a mask, wash your hands with soap and water, and avoid crowded places. Maintain physical distancing. Be responsible. Together, we can overcome the pandemic.
Well, thank you for joining us on Plus News Brief. I am Vivian Oguche. So the Adamawa State Emergency Management Agency at SEMA has confirmed that 7 people have died and no fewer than 5,000 displaced following an attack by suspected Boko Haram insurgents on Friday. Kwapre, a village in Hang local government area of Adamawa State, which lies at the Adamawa-Borno boundary close to the Sambisa forest in Borno, was attacked Friday evening. But not much was known on the casualty figure at the time. Executive Secretary of ATSEMA, Dr. Mohammed Suleiman, said that the attack on Kwapre affected neighboring communities where most of the displaced had taken up temporary residence. By the late afternoon of Sunday, that life was gradually returning to Kwapre as the displaced had started trickling back. And now the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs has confirmed the attack on its facility in Damasak, Borno State. The humanitarian coordinator and head of the UN mission in Nigeria, Edward Callon, said that he is deeply concerned about the recurrent reports of violent attacks by non-state armed groups putting the lives of civilians at risk. He also condemned the attack on humanitarian aid operations and facilities that are, according to him, the lifeline for people affected by violence and conflict in the northeast region of Nigeria. Well, still on security, the police command in Kaduna State has rescued 15 kidnapped persons and recovered 32 cows. Now, the command's public relations officer, Mohammed Jalige, said this in a statement on Sunday in Kaduna. Jalige said that on the 9th of April at about 1500 hours, gunmen suspected to be bandits blocked Buruku-Berningwari Road around Ungwa Yako Forest in an attempt to kidnap occupants of 2 Volkswagen Salon cars. He said that the drivers of the vehicles sustained varying degrees of injuries and were receiving treatment. Now, the police command in Zamfara says that it has secured the release of 11 kidnapped persons in the state. The public relations officer of the command, Mohammed Shehu, announced this in a statement issued in Gusau on Saturday. He said the release of the kidnapped victims was part of an ongoing peace process spearheaded by the state's governor, Bello Matawali. Police said that on the 8th of April, police operatives attached to Operation Puff Ada deployed to the Rawaya-Yakala axis were alerted of the presence of large numbers of bandits who were moving to Yakala village on an attack. Operatives then swung into action and dislodged the bandits. As a result, they fled into the forest with possible gunshot wounds. In the meantime, gunmen suspected to be headsmen have kidnapped a Catholic priest in Imo State, Reverend Father Marcel Onyocha of the Mother Teresa of Golgotha Catholic Church in World Bank, Uweri. The public relations officer of the state police commander, Lando Kyoku, confirmed the incident via a statement issued on Sunday. He said the priest was driving from Enugu State in a Nissan external SUV in the company of a friend when his car developed fault around the Ihube community in Okigwe local government area. According to the police spokesman, as they were trying to fix the vehicle, a group of people suspected to be Fulani headsmen emerged from the bush and inflicted a machete cut on the other man while the Catholic priest was abducted. Meanwhile, the police commissioner in Imo, Nasir Mohammed, says that he has activated tactical units of the command to rescue Reverend Onyocha and arrest his kidnappers. The police commissioner, in a statement issued on Sunday by the command spokesman Orlando Kiako, called for calm, assuring that the priest will be rescued. Reporters say that Onyocha of Mother Teresa of Golgotha Catholic Church, World Bank, Owerri, was kidnapped around Ihube in Okigwe local government area on the 10th of April. He assured that the command will do everything possible to ensure the rescue of the priest. Now, governors from the southeast of Nigeria have established a security outfit called Ebube Agu as part of plans to checkmate the rising unrest in the region stemming from an increase in criminal activities. And this was announced in Owerri by the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum, Dave Umahi, while reading a communique after a meeting comprising all the governors, the President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo, and security chiefs in the 5 states. According to the communique, the agency is to oversee and monitor the activities of vigilante groups in the region. The communique also addressed the issue of open grazing, as the governors in the Southeast unanimously placed an outright ban on it.
The meeting resolved to maintain a joint security vigilante, which already has been formed in the 5 Southeast states for the Southeast, and the joint security outfit to coordinate the activities of our vigilante in the 5 South states shall from today be known and called Ebube Agu Joint Security Outfit for Southeast. The meeting condemns very highly the killings in all Southeast in the recent time, and they ask the federal government security agencies to bring justice to the victims.
The chairman of the forum further outlined the need for all security agencies in the zone to share intelligence among themselves for proactive actions against any form of criminality. They vowed to support the federal government in the fight against insecurity in the zone and ensure that the states are kept safe for business activities to foster growth and development.
To strongly and unequivocally condemn terrorism and banditry in any part of Nigeria, particularly in Southeast. The meeting strongly condemns the burning of police stations, violent attacks on custodial centers with the unlawful release of inmates, and the killings, including security personnel, natives, farmers, and herdsmen. That the 5 Southeast governors states are on the same page with the federal government on the issue of security challenges in the country. To this end, the meeting makes it absolutely clear that Southeast will stand resolutely with the federal government to fight terrorists and bandits to a standstill.
In the same vein, Imo Governor Hope Uzodimma has assured the northern community residing in Imo of government's protection always, saying they are part and parcel of the state. He spoke during a meeting with the leadership of the northern community at the government house, Owerri, over the weekend. The leadership of the northern community said they had come to pay a solidarity visit to Uzodimma and to solicit his continuous support in the face of recent pockets of insecurity affecting them. Governor Uzodimma, who thanked the leaders of the northern community for their maturity and understanding of the events happening in the state recently, said the development has nothing to do with herdsmen, but the conspiracy of some bloodthirsty and greedy political leaders. Well, it's over now to Plateau State, where Governor Simon Lalong has criticized the killing of 8 miners in an attack at a mining site in Kuru, just south local government area. He described the incident as an attempt to destabilize the state. Now, the governor said that the act was also aimed at creating fear, adding that a government would not condone such attacks on innocent people. He directed security agencies to fish out the perpetrators of the heinous act. Governor Lalong said that the narratives of unknown gunmen would no longer be tolerated from the agencies. He then urged residents to assist law enforcement agencies with intelligence gathering on criminal activities. Well, more news now. The Northern Governors Forum has urged the Acting Inspector General, IG of Police, Usman Baba, to take proactive measures in tackling the various levels of crimes in the country. The chairman of the forum, Simon Lalong, made the call in a congratulatory message to the acting IG. The governor of Plateau State said the forum would give Baba all the necessary support to enable him provide the leadership needed for implementing proactive policing for the safety of lives and property. He said Baba's appointment by President Muhammadu Buhari was well-deserved, considering his track record of diligent service to the nation. Now, a former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, says that bad blood is the reason for the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election won by the late business mogul Moshood Abiola. The former president, who was a classmate to Abiola at the Baptist Boys High School, Abeokuta, said the annulment robbed Egbaland the rare opportunity to have 3 of its prominent sons occupy the seat of the president at different times. He said this during his investiture as a trustee of the Abeokuta Club, a socio-cultural organization of Egba people of Ogun State. Obasanjo apparently was referring to former head of Interim National Government Ernest Shonekon himself, and noted that Abiola would have become the third if the 1993 poll was not cancelled. Electoral matters now. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Jude Ogbemi, winner of Saturday's by-election in Isoko North State constituency of Delta. The returning officer for the election, Christopher Onosemode, declared the result at Ozoro in Isoko Council area. Onosemode of the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, a forum, said Ogbemi scored 29,421 votes to defeat 8 other candidates in the by-election. He also said that the candidates of the All Progressives Congress APC, Emmanuel Tabuko, scored 2,543 votes to place second, while Agose Ogagone of Action Democratic Party ADP came third with 66 votes. 11 political parties participated in the by-election occasioned by the death of a former House of Assembly Majority Leader, Tim Wefere. Now, the federal government has called for more commitment from the China Civil Engineering Corporation, CCECC, constructing the Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line. The Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, made this call during an inspection of the Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge construction works.
The inspection commenced from the main terminal at Ebutemeta in Lagos State. From there, the team moved to inspect ongoing construction works into the Apapa port. While these sites are encouraging, the minister read the Riot Act to some people standing as impediments to the work.
We've asked the Prime Secretary to call MPA in. They should bring MPA in because the trailer drivers there have disrupted the movement of train into the seaport, and we have to stop them now. We either stop them or we stop the owner of that terminal. That will be the solution.
The team then proceeded to assess the completion of the train terminals along the Lagos-Ibadan rail corridor. The Minister of Transportation, however, expressed displeasure at the speed of ongoing construction.
When it comes to speed, you're right. When it comes to speed, CCC is running away. Because I told them they should see us on Wednesday. We should have a meeting again to tell them that I'm sick and tired. We finished. We just those minor things can actually delay movement of goods. They are minor. They say by the end of the month they will finish. Okay, I believe them, but I want them to reiterate that. And like this team has already said, they don't go by their work plan. Ibadan to Kano, everybody must go according to the work plan, both in terms of payment, in terms of construction, in terms of inspection and everything, so that we keep to the time and we'll keep to the plan, the work plan.
Improvement has been made. Final touches have been put to the stations. And last time we came, there was no sign of air condition. At the mega station at Butemeta Junction, the central air condition is working, the generator are in place, and you see all the air conditioning in all the other stations in place. Today we use the escalator to go up, and escalator they have been installed in every other station.
There are expectations, especially from traders.
This railway sector, traders is the chief beneficiaries of this railway sector. We have at least moved on today in our turnaround to Apapa Seaport, where Our goods have been tracked down for a period of months before it arrived to our various states. But today, with what we have seen so far, in a very few months, it will become a thing of past. So by the time this runway has officially been commissioned, we are very happy and we are believing that it is for the interest of the traders and Nigeria at large.
As government prepares to extend the construction of the next phase of the project from Ibadan to Kano, the consensus here is these facilities must be well maintained.
Well, to other parts of Africa now, vote counting began in Benin on Sunday after a presidential poll that was boycotted by some opposition parties over pre-election violence and their objection to President Patrice Talon's quest for a second term. Talon, a multi-millionaire cotton magnate who touts strong economic growth under his leadership, is accused by his opponents of undermining Benin's standing as one of West Africa's most stable democracies. Protests in several cities this week turned violent. Now, some people were killed in gunfire on Thursday in the central town of Bante when security forces fired warning shots. Its mayor told local radio without saying how many had died.
Polls opened in the West African nation Benin on Sunday following a week of deadly protests. Some opposition parties called for a boycott of the presidential election after protests against the incumbent Patrice Talon turned violent in several cities. Talon is heavily favoured to win a second term. The multi-millionaire cotton magnate, who touts strong economic growth under his leadership, is accused by his opponents of undermining Benin's standing as one of West Africa's most stable democracies. Among the protesters' complaints are Talon's U-turn on a pledge he made as a candidate in 2016 to serve only one term, and changes he pushed through to election laws that he said were aimed at streamlining unwieldy government institutions. In practice, those reforms resulted in total control of parliament by Talon's supporters and the exclusion of leading opponents from the presidential race. US democracy watchdog Freedom House downgraded Benin last year in its annual rankings from free to partly free. Talon faces two relatively little-known opposition candidates. Amnesty International said several more prominent opposition leaders have been detained this year on terrorism-related charges. In the commercial capital, Cotonou, several people said they feared violence on election day.
And outside Africa, tear gas has been fired and a curfew imposed amid angry protests after police fatally shot a black man in a traffic stop in the U.S. city of Brooklyn Center, just north of Minneapolis. The man has been identified by relatives as 20-year-old Dante White. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said he was closely monitoring the situation and praying for Wright's family. Tensions in Minneapolis are high as a trial of the former officer accused of killing George Floyd takes place. Hundreds of protesters chanting Dante Wright's name engaged in a standoff with riot police late on Sunday outside the police headquarters in Brooklyn Center, just a few kilometers north of central Minneapolis. Meanwhile, Iran's top nuclear official says a nuclear facility in the country was hit by sabotage one day after it unveiled new uranium enrichment equipment. Ali Abkar Salehi did not say who was to blame for the attack, which caused a power failure at the Natanz complex south of Tehran on Sunday. Israeli public media, however, cited intelligence sources who said it was the result of an Israeli cyber attack. Israel has not commented on the incident directly, but in recent days it has ramped up its warnings about Iran's nuclear program. Well, let's take a look at some business news now. If government wants to reduce poverty, youth unemployment and crime, there is a need to channel the energies of the youthful population to industrialization and agriculture. This formed the major submission of speakers at the training organized by the Yoruba Professionals Foundation and IOO. Speaking during the training, a retired professor of Romantics and Comparative Literature who represented the leader of IOO, Professor Banji Akintoye, urged the younger generation to keep on with the battle of industrialization as the future belongs to them. Founder and president of YPF, Maxwell Adeleye, said, quote, "Hunger, starvation, and poverty breed insecurity and civil unrest." Adeleye said the aim is to use sciences, technology, and digital innovations to wage war against poverty in the land.
This should be your moment. This should be your time. And never mind all the, what we call distractions. And there are many distractions in place. But be assured of one thing, most of all, I believe, and that's what we were discussing just before we started the meeting, that is, this is the right moment. And you must find yourselves, you must be ready to forge ahead.
We want Yoruba people to embrace commerce and industrialization, and the best way is through entrepreneurship. Our aim is to see a Yoruba land where jobs upon jobs will be created. The Nigerian government has refused to create jobs for our people, so we felt we should help ourselves. We should be our own. We should build our own China. We should build our own Japan. We should build our own Germany, our own Malaysia. So, and this is the beginning.
It's for them to use what they have, because it's one to learn something, it's another to apply it, and another to make money out of it. Because they say technology is the application of science. But then you can apply science and get technology. If you're not creative or resourceful, you might not be able to make money out of it.
Responding, a cross-section of the trainees thanked the organizers for the life-changing opportunity.
Because I have a lot of projects I've run for people and I don't know how to produce paint, I had to go and meet people to produce for me, in which one way or the other, all my profit has gone to them. So this is a privilege and a valuable privilege for me.
It's like a one in a million opportunity for me to go out into the world of men and make my own way too. I really want to thank them. I also want to thank the teachers.
More business news. The Nigerian stock market fell further last week as the market value of equities fell by 30 billion naira. The Nigerian Stock Exchange All-Share Index and market capitalization depreciated by 0.13% to close the weekend at 38,866.39 and 20.33 trillion naira, respectively. All other indices finished lower with the exception of NSE Premium, NSE Merit Growth, NSE Consumer and Goods, and NSE Lotus 2 and NSE Growth Index, which appreciated. Entertainment news now. The Nigerian Film Corporation, NFC, has slated the 12th Zuma Film Festival from the 1st of December to the 7th of December in Abuja. This is contained in a statement by its head of public affairs, Brian Etuk, in Jos on Sunday. Etuk said that entries will be opened to all interested filmmakers from Nigeria and around the world, starting from the 2nd of April to the 30th of October. He also said that the theme for the 2021 edition was Show the Money, and would focus on showcasing the great investment opportunities in digital content creation and exhibition. Well, on sports news, Hideki Matsuyama held off the field to win the Masters by one stroke at Augusta National and became the first Japanese man to claim a major title. Matsuyama had a 4-shot lead heading into the final day and despite some nervy moments, shot a 1/73 to win on 10 under par. American debutant Will Zalatoris was his closest challenger on 9 under. England's Justin Rose, who led for 2 rounds, faded in the final 18 holes with a 2/74 to end 5 under. And it's a wrap for us on News Brief. For more, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. Well, we'll be back shortly with more stories. I am Vivian Oguche. Thank you for watching.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby is presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes, but without showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6. So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the results of tomorrow's election. Okay, you have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let anybody come and say. The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
Welcome on the show. Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. And you know how I feel about Monday mornings, okay? But it's a Monday morning. My name is Wale Scott. Welcome on the show. Lots of things happened over the weekend. Lots of things to discuss. But let me start with this one. Enyimba suffered their worst defeat of the CAF Confederations Cup on Sunday, losing 3-0 to Algerian side ES Setif at the 8th May 1914 tie before welcoming table toppers Orlando Pirates for their final group game on April 28th. Orlando Pirates are currently top of the table on 8 points, 2 points ahead of second place Enyimba, after their 3-0 win over Al Ahly Benghazi on Sunday. Al Ahly and Setif are both on 4 points. Enyimba's previous largest loss this season was a 3-0 defeat at Al Merrek last December in a CAF Champions League first round fixture. I've got Shayo Oguntoye with me as a sports analyst on the show with me today. Good morning, Shayo.
Yeah, good morning, Wale.
It's very obvious that they have better football structures in North Africa than we do. And that's why we always meet our nemesis whenever we get to meet North African countries. Now we lose to Setif, 3-0. Massive win for them.
Absolutely. And I think with the defeat of Enyimba, the group is wide open now. You know, you just read out now that Enyimba have 6 points, and they are just 2 points ahead of Benghazi and Setif, who defeated them, 4 points each. So the structure of these North African sides will still come out to play against other teams in Africa. And that is why the best teams in Africa are in the northern part of the continent.
So sad. Okay, let me look at the medals as at close of proceedings yesterday, Edo 2020. Let's look at Delta stayed on top with 139 medals. Edo State second with 144. The only difference is that Delta has more gold medals than Edo, so they're actually second. Now, Lagos are far away fifth with just 41 medals. So we can actually say that all things being equal, Delta and Edo should have it, Shayo, should have it in their pockets. So I think it's a race between Delta and Edo at this point. We have a few days to go now.
Yes, I think it's just a two-horse race now, because looking at the table, the medals table now, it's Delta and Edo who are close in combat between this medal table, and all other states are just way behind them. You mentioned Lagos with 41 medals, just 41, compared to the gold medals that Edo alone have, or even Delta has, is just more than Lagos, and it's massive.
And the next person to Edo actually on this list is Bayelsa, and they only have 72 medals.
Yes. So you can see what we're talking about. It's just like a two-horse race here, and that makes it much more glamorous now, because we now know it's going to be between Delta and Edo State.
Okay, now before I go, let me ask you this question before I read my story to you. Shayo, what most people thought was that the Edo 2020 Sports Festival across Nigeria is supposed to be a grooming ground for raw talent, to look for talents for the future, the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games. But now it's gone beyond that. You see people, states poaching, you see cheats, you see elite athletes coming to join their state for whatever reason. The essence of the sports festival is defeated if we have elite athletes and we are poaching. It's supposed to be a grooming ground for future athletes.
Yes, you see, the problem with the Nigerian system, it has eaten deep into every sector in Nigeria. You also take a cue from football, where all these under-17, under-20 age grade competitions are also being exploited by ourselves. And at the end, we still suffer for it. So when we do not do the right things at the right time, when we cheat with every opportunity, we'll still suffer it at the end. That is just what is happening. Let these young talents grow, nurture them, not to bring the best of the best from somewhere around the country and then win medals, and then they'll go out to represent us, and then they'll fail also. That is exactly what's
Let
happening.
me tell you why I brought that matter up in the first place, okay? Because despite the fact that it's a grooming ground, the main organizing committee of the National Sports Festival in Edo State has disqualified Dino Ebarakuma, thereby stripping him of the medals he has won so far. Ebarakuma, according to reports, registered for Team Rivers heading into the festival, but eventually fraudulently turned up for Team Bayelsa without a proper clearance by the NOC. With the development, the organizers say the 4 gold and 2 silver, he has won 6 medals. So far, 1 have been cancelled. Meanwhile, there are insinuations from different quarters that Team Bayelsa, as other athletes, it patched right at the venue without proper documentation. It remains to be seen if more of the Team Bayelsa athletes will suffer the same fate in the next couple of days. Now, the organizers, the MOC, are blaming Team Bayelsa. I thought when the athletes got there, they were being checked. How did they overlook that mistake? Let's start with blaming the organizers first.
Yeah, I agree with you. You see, it still boils down to what we have been saying. You cheat and then you are being punished now. For me, I think we still need a stiffer sanction on teams that are found wanting in this regard, because it should serve as a lesson for others. Now he has been stripped of his medals. He's won 6 medals or so. He's been stripped of it, and a heavy sanction should be placed on those teams. Also, now you made mention of the organizing committee. How were they able to overlook such when he has been tested? I think so many questions needs to be answered in that regard.
Before I go to the English Premier League this morning, the El Clasico, and of course Real Madrid got the better of it. And some are saying, is this the end of Lionel Messi?
Well, for Lionel Messi, it will always, he can never play football forever. That is just it. You know, since Ronaldo left...
Are we seeing the end now of Messi?
Yes, he's in his twilight of his career. You know, he has given all. He has nothing else to prove in football. He has won 6 Ballon d'Ors. He is arguably the best player of football. So he cannot continue to play football forever.
Okay, let's go to the English Premier League this morning. Now, Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer believes it would still require a miracle for his team to catch Manchester City at the top of the Premier League table, despite beating Tottenham Hotspur 3-1. City are currently 11 points ahead of the Red Devils, but Solskjaer is more focused on getting results and performing well in all of the remaining matches. VAR played a controversial role in the first half when Edison Cavani's goal was disallowed after an incident involving Son Heung-min and Scott McTominay. Cavani still managed to get on the score sheets in the second half, and Solskjaer was very clear that himself and the team want the Uruguayan to remain at the club next season.
I think from that moment onwards, we played some very, very good football. I know we conceded. It's not theoretically impossible, but it would take a lot and would take a miracle, but sometimes miracle. For us, though, it's... we just have to get as many points on the board as possible and keep getting the wins that we need to make sure we've improved from last season. And we want to at least get as close to them as possible. We've had upfront and honest meetings, of course we've had, and there's no secret to keep him. I don't think it's any secret that this been a difficult year for everyone with a pandemic, not been possible to have friends over, family over without quarantine. You can't travel. He's not been able to experience the fantastic culture in Manchester and in and around and in England. And he is contemplating and thinking hard and long about what he wants to do. And I understand. He knows what we want.
Now, Shayo, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just being modest, or do you think that it will take a miracle for them to play catch-up with Man City?
I think he's just being spot on here. It's going to take a miracle. You can't expect City to lose 4 straight games in about 6 games to go. I mean, it's totally impossible in football sense now, because City are the dominant force in England, and as it stands, United have to, capitalize on their own errors. That is, if United are even going to win their remaining fixtures.
Okay. Before I go to City, Shayo, let me honestly ask you a question, and please don't laugh about it. It's not a joke. I have, it's not good not being used to winning. So when you win once in a while, it actually becomes a big thing, and that's why a colleague of mine went on social media after the match with Chelsea winning, and it was like, all of you must join Chelsea, become Chelsea fans, because they won one game. And then somebody in the studio, before this program started, also was saying they are the best team in the world. I'm like, oh, because they won one match, when? So, I understand their plight. They're not used to winning regularly. So when they do win, they want to have a party. They want to call Paso and all that and have a big party, when they win once. I understand. But do you think, I've always seen Chelsea more as a Champions League team. They've got fantastic players in Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, who for me are more like Champions team players than English Premier League players, really.
Yes, I totally agree with you. If you look at the table now, you see Chelsea in 5th, played 31 games and have 54 points. So it's going to be a massive fight to the end. They want to go to the Champions League. Yes, they can do it. They have the Champions League itself to contain.
Shayo, somebody even predicted them in the finals, really?
Well, they have to try to win all their winnable games so that they can eclipse either West Ham or Leicester City from the top 4 spots.
If you want my opinion, Shayo, if I go to my next story today, I am not a fan of Chelsea. I never will be. But against Real Madrid, I think on a good day, they will take Real to the cleaners. On a good day, Chelsea will injure Real Madrid on a good day.
Because if you look at this Madrid team we're talking about, the frame of this team is weak.
No doubt, yeah.
Very weak. If you look at the players, most of them are in the wrong side of 30. You understand? And Chelsea are in their youthful time now. The likes of Timo Werner, you mentioned, even Tammy Abraham, who is not having enough game time. We have Pulisic, we have Havertz, Kovacic, Kante. The list is endless. These guys can run you ragged. True. You understand? So, and they have a very good coach who understands football's dynamics. Yeah. So it's going to be a very, very tough game against Real Madrid. Should they, defeat Porto?
Okay. Now, Pep Guardiola says City's 2-1 Premier League defeat to Leeds should not detract from the incredible achievements his side have accomplished this season. Premier League leaders suffered a last-gasp defeat to the Yorkshire outfit at the Etihad Stadium, falling to Stuart Dallas's injury time strike after Ferran Torres had cancelled out the visitors' opener. However, the defeat marked only the team's second loss in the last 36 games, with City winning 27 of 29. A feat Guardiola says should not be diminished by one result.
Yeah, he ran 2 times, no more than that. So, it's, of course, a weapon. He's an exceptional player with good pace, and every player under Marcelo is getting better, so he played a good game. Listen, they make changes, but maybe in Dortmund we're going to play the same lineup than today. I don't know. So the players make a mistake. I said many times, you play because I want to let you play, but it's not because I reserve these players. I put this selection to win that game, and that's all. And I demand the guys who play every single game to win, not because I don't select competitions. I don't select teams or games. I select every team to win this specific game. If not, it will not be possible to arrive in this position like we are in the Premier League and the other competitions. So now we are going to wrestle together. We're going to prepare 2 days, the games in Dortmund, and after the other ones. Yeah, but listen, I decide for this selection today. So selection can be not the reason why we don't win. But you don't know, I don't know neither. So I don't know. I don't know what happened. If you tell me if the other players today play today, you can assure me 100% you have win, you will be a manager, perfect manager. But I don't know. I don't know another selection would happen. I don't know. So only a thing, I know what happened to the guys who played, like we concede a goal with avoidable, so we are to be more aggressive, more concentrating that, and we didn't do it, and yeah, we create enough chances to win the game. We didn't do it. Congratulations to Leeds.
Shayo, I have to clap. That is modern day coaching, encouraging his players. He says, don't take away all the while we've been winning and you choose one day, that's one loss, and bring my guys down. Please don't do that. They are fantastic players. That's modern day coaching for me.
I totally agree with you. You know, he himself mentioned now that they've played 28 games and have won 26. I mean, which other team is more consistent in England than Manchester City? There is none. And that is exactly what City did. You know, when, you know, this season is actually the most odd season of all, where we had so many teams at the top of the table at one point in time or the other. We had Tottenham, we had Liverpool, we had United. Even at the time, we had Leicester. But it was only City who showed enough seriousness, and that seriousness spanned out to, you know, when they started with.
And the Bundesliga, and of course the Champions, have said, listen, in modern day football, you can only win if you have a large squad, a big team. But Guardiola says, I don't pick teams, I don't pick matches, I don't look at FA Cup, I use my first 11 for every game. Isn't that a risk? He uses his first 11 for everything.
Well, I would not agree with Guardiola there, because Guardiola is a coach that really doesn't have a first team. If you look at his selections, today De Bruyne plays, tomorrow De Bruyne doesn't play. He uses Bernardo Silva, you know, he uses Gabriel Jesus. Next tomorrow he doesn't use Jesus, he uses Foden as a false nine, you know, Sterling as a false nine. So the only position that is guaranteed in City right now is maybe the goalkeeping position and Ruben Dias position. The rest are up for grabs, and possibly because he has eyes on other competitions too. You know, they have chances to win all competitions this season already. So I think Pep is just playing the mind games there.
Mind game, modern day coaching, like I said earlier. Now tennis.
Yeah.
World number 1 Novak Djokovic said on Sunday that mentally he missed tennis as he prepares for his first match at the Monte Carlo Masters since winning the Australian Open. The two-time champion who decided to skip a trip to Miami, get his campaign underway against either recent Miami Open finalist Yannick Sinner or 2017 runner-up in the Principality Albert Ramos Vinoas. Meanwhile, the Serb could not gauge whether it was the right decision or not to postpone Roland Garros by a week, saying it was something that simply had to be accepted and that he was hopeful the short delay could lead to more fans attending.
I don't think there is anything special I have to do in terms of preparation in order for me to feel my best on the court. I mean, I've been training quite a lot on clay actually ever since I pulled out from Miami. I was I was hitting on clay, and here in Monte Carlo actually where I reside with the family, so it was convenient and feels great. I feel physically prepared, mentally. I missed tennis, last couple of months that I haven't been competing. So I look forward to my first match. It's unfortunate we don't have a crowd, but it's a common thing nowadays. But hopefully we'll be seeing crowd very, very soon on big tournaments in Europe. It's hard to say. I mean, whether it was a right move or not. I mean, I'm not in the French Federation or the French government to understand what is going on, in Paris and what are the reasons for that. But obviously these are the things that we just have to accept and kind of move on, hoping that the tournament will be played in the end of the day, because that's what we want.
So Shayo, King Djokovic is back, and he says he missed tennis, and of course he hopes that the 1 week extension of Roland Garros might bring in more fans into the stands when the matches start. Hello, Shayo.
Yes. I think for Djokovic, what he has just done is to send shivers into his opponent's mind with this interview he granted. He's, like you said, King Novak Djokovic. He's this stylish player which handles the racket well, and he has a lot of panache to his game. So he's actually going to do well at the Monte Carlo Masters, because he himself said now that his hands are itching him. He wants to get back into action quick and fast so that he can start doing business and prepare well for the Grand Slam coming up.
Okay, now still on tennis, this man will give you a run for your money. They call him King of Clay. Rafael Nadal says his body's feeling in good shape for the moment and that he's excited for the return of the Monte Carlo Masters after last year's tournament was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking on Sunday ahead of his opening match on Wednesday against either Frenchman Adrien Manarino or Argentine qualifier Federico de Bonis, Nadal backed his health and his game. Nadal also said he hopes to compete for all the important titles during the day, during the clay swing, while congratulating Djokovic for recently breaking Roger Federer's record for most weeks in the #1 ranking spots.
Good, I'm feeling good. Thank you. Yeah, I take it a while. After Australia, going to be my second tournament. It's true that the situation that we are facing not helps to play that often. But yeah, arrived an important part of the season for me, and I think I did the right work to be ready. So let's see, remain a couple of days of practice here, but yeah, happy the way that I am playing. And yeah, for the moment, my body is in good shape. So yeah, I am excited about playing here in Monaco. Again, Monte Carlo, as everybody knows, is one of my favorite tournaments without a doubt. I love being here. Of course, we're going to miss the crowd and the normal tournament. But we are happy that I am happy that we are still able to play. Yeah, and yeah, being here always is a good news for me. So excited and happy, and hope to be ready to give my best. And I hope to be able to come back next year with a different story, with a normal situation again.
Now, Shayo, everybody should be scared, really scared. He's the king of clay, Rafael Nadal. And he says, I'm going to play in every clay tournament this year. Everybody should be scared right now.
Absolutely. And I think we all have reason to be scared because, like you said, he is the king of clay. And he said his body is in good shape. So no injuries, no worries, nothing. The only thing that is there will be no fans. And with no fans, no pressure too. So, but he is the king of clay. I would actually love to see a Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal final in the Monte Carlo.
Okay. Now, let's go to some basketball NBA now. Los Angeles Lakers point guard Dennis Schroeder praised his team's blowout win over the Brooklyn Nets, which saw his first career ejection. The Lakers, without key players like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, were leading 66-62 when the 8th-year pro exchanged words with fellow point guard Kyle Irving. Now, both were called for 2 technical fouls, and Schroeder, who appeared to have made a taunting gesture towards Irving, later admitted he wasn't aware he received the first foul. Head coach Frank Vogel echoed Schroeder's sentiments that the win was one of the Lakers' best after doing so with a depleted side.
We competing out there, just try to get a W, to my teammates. I didn't know at first that we got double technicals when he came up to me. That's the first thing. But after that, I kept asking him what he is talking about. And he kept talking. Then he got kicked out or got the second technical. And I said, bye, probably, I don't even know if I raved at him. I probably did. And then he said, you going too, because you raved at him. And I didn't even know I got the, first technical with him when he came up to me. But it happened. I can take it back. So I just try to move forward now.
Well, yeah, I think it is. We've had some good wins, but this is what I wanted our guys reaching for in tonight's game. When you see guys out and you see a great opponent like the Nets, you can be a little bit overwhelmed and not sure if you're going to have a chance to win it. But you want to have a go after these guys mindset. And, we knew coming in that if we were able to prevail shorthanded against this opponent, that it would feel good and it would be one of the best wins of the year. So, happy about that.
Shia, before we go on the show today, quickly, Los Angeles Lakers without Davis and LeBron James, massive players, but they still come back and win. And they are praising themselves and listen, we did well despite the fact we are missing key players.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Sometimes in sports games, especially team sports games, you have teammates fighting one another. It actually shouldn't be encouraged. It actually kills the spirit of the team. But good one for Lakers as they were able to win the tie on the night, and they were able to.
Okay. Shayo, if I have you on the show, I think I want to say a big thank you for joining us on the show today. Thank you very much, Shayo. Thank you for
always a pleasure
for joining us at such a short notice. Thank you very much. That's all we can take on the show today. Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa on a Monday morning. Join us same time tomorrow, same station for another edition. My name is Wale Scott. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
I believe AIDS can be beaten, but only by eradicating its most deadly symptom, stigma. The shame of HIV still forces millions of people away from information and health services and into the shadows, where they cannot protect themselves or those they love. This show will look at 6 provocative stories that address how global societies must be willing to rethink well-worn social, ethical, and moral norms to end stigma. Our first stop is the Caribbean nation of Haiti, which has the highest prevalence of HIV in the Western Hemisphere.
In Haiti, 2 children are born with HIV every day. 20-year-old Venice Luis's parents died from AIDS when she was 11. Orphaned, she went to live with an aunt. Several years later, she suspected something might be wrong with her.
I was getting sick often, and they took me to get an HIV test when I was 14. And that is when they found out I am positive. And my aunt's boyfriend said that I cannot stay in the house because I would infect the other children.
Venice now lives at an orphanage run by the organization Caring for Haitian Orphans with AIDS, along with 18 other HIV-positive children. In Haiti, the stigma of being HIV positive runs deep. After her diagnosis, Venice suffered cruel mental and physical abuse.
My aunt's boyfriend told her to separate everything I used. Silverware, glasses, soap. I slept in a separate part of the house and I couldn't play with the other kids.
Each morning, Venice prepares for school with the other children. Her aunt would not allow her to get an education, fearing a cut or scrape would infect another child. At the age of 20, she is now finishing the 4th grade. When she first arrived at the orphanage, she was shy, withdrawn, and cried a lot.
I did not feel good at all. I did not feel like a normal person. And by the way my aunt treated me, I thought life wasn't meant to be good for me.
The children are given antiretroviral medication twice a day. Venice arrived at the orphanage weak and physically underdeveloped. After she was diagnosed, she begged her aunt to take her for treatment.
I used to cry a lot every day. My aunt told me the only way I'm going to get treatment is under the earth when I'm dead.
Eventually, Venice received sporadic treatment at a hospital. She also met with a psychologist about the abuse she was suffering.
They told me that if I did not do what they say, they will kick me out of the house and I will be in the street like a prostitute sleeping with men, and they will not accept me back.
It was the psychologist who suggested she be placed in the care of the orphanage, and her life began to change.
When she started getting regular treatment, she started to gain weight. She started to get better physically and mentally.
Two of Venice's aunts agreed to visit her at our request. Her aunt Janesse denies that there was any abuse.
If somebody told you that, it is not true, especially when she was sick. We never abused her.
Venice remembers things differently.
If they say they did not do that, then they are lying, because they did.
Her aunts want to put the past behind, but Venice still harbors too much pain and anguish.
When I become older, I will let them know what they did to me was wrong. For now, I want to finish school, learn a trade, and never go back to live with my family again.
Although HIV and AIDS is now a treatable condition, a positive diagnosis is still a life-altering experience. In Cambodia, people living with HIV are often disowned by friends, family, and the community where they live. This humiliation can be unbearable, and severe cases end in suicide.
Each morning as Uk Navi stands in front of the mirror, she glances at photos of her late husband and remembers the good times they shared. He committed suicide after learning he was HIV positive.
Before I suspect I made a mistake, he asked me if he had HIV, what would I do? I replied saying if you bring the virus to me, I would slit my own throat.
After her husband's death, Uk Navi continued to live in her home near the Thai border.
Shortly after I held the funeral for my husband, I was looked down on and treated differently by the villagers. Children in the village started making fun of my son saying your father had AIDS. He might have infected the whole village.
When villagers set her house on fire, Uknavi returned home to live with her sister near Phnom Penh. She was sick often, and a test revealed her worst fear. She was HIV positive.
My only sister and cousin showed disgusting behavior toward me before we ate together. But after I was known as HIV positive, they would not eat with me. Even when my child was playing around, they called him AIDS child.
Cambodia offers free medication for the country's 70,000 people living with HIV. But many must move from the countryside to cities for treatment. Those with little means live in squalor.
Almost 75% of them think they made such a big mistake in their lives that they discriminate and isolate themselves from society, and the serious cases end in suicide.
Feeling desperate and alone, Uknavi contemplated following her husband and committing suicide.
I felt so sick and skinny, and I no longer wanted to live. Then I thought of my son and took pity on him. So I strived to survive, just for him.
Though Uknavi found the strength to keep living, life was not easy. Her sister could no longer help her.
I just could not afford to feed her, as I have barely made ends meet for my two daughters.
Uknavi is now feeling better, both mentally and physically. She receives housing, food, and medicine from Place of Rescue, a Canadian organization that supports people living with HIV. It is her son who brings her life purpose. But her thoughts often wander to her late husband.
I feel anger and regret every day. If only he was still alive, he would have received medicine and felt healthy like others with the disease. He shouldn't have been so short-sighted and decided to kill himself.
In Uganda, an anti-homosexuality law criminalizes same-sex relations, which is now punishable by life in prison. In Nigeria, same-sex couples that show affection in public risk 10 years imprisonment. Both laws are forcing communities vulnerable to HIV deeper into the shadows.
Jesus has paid for God's kingdom.
In Uganda, religion is used as a weapon against homosexuality.
Don't decide tomorrow. Tomorrow may be too late for salvation. Homosexuality is prohibited here in Uganda. We don't want it.
You get people, these mobs of people who are protesting, who are screaming, kill the gays, death to the gays. But it's not really about the gays, it's about them being frustrated with their own lives, and it's about the scapegoat, and it's about the government using gay people as a scapegoat.
Tell us not to stop the fight to protect our children from sodomy.
In Africa, homosexuality is against the law in 37 countries. The movie God Loves Uganda documents the influence of American evangelicals on anti-gay policies in Uganda.
American fundamentalist evangelicals have targeted Uganda for decades. And Uganda was a perfect storm because it was decimated, had the highest rate of HIV and AIDS in Africa. And so American evangelicals saw an opportunity and they moved in.
My goal is always to discourage sexual promiscuity of every sort. I believe that governments, all the governments of the world, have an affirmative duty to promote the natural family and marriage as the mainstream culture.
There is all of those things that is not God's way for love.
In Bible study classes like this one, they teach the belief that God does not love gays.
Nigeria and Uganda now are producing these pastors that were raised on this sort of idea that, you know, biblical law is above civil law. So what you're seeing now is the results of 30 years of American evangelicals being involved in the country.
In February of 2014, President Yoweri Museveni signed a bill outlawing same-sex relations in Uganda.
At best, it's paternalistic colonialism. At worst, it's outrageously racist to suggest that the Africans are children who cannot make up their own minds about what morality their country should follow.
A similar law was passed in Nigeria. Afani Arazuliki runs a clinic providing healthcare services for gay men in Abuja, Nigeria. 17% of gay men in Nigeria are HIV positive.
We can't keep quiet for people to die or for people to lose their life. The law, on the other hand, we are battling the law because even people like us stand to go for 10 years imprisonment for doing what we're doing. Baby, how are you?
Today, he is investigating a hate crime against a young gay teenager. Health officials in Uganda and Nigeria believe the new anti-gay laws will somehow lower HIV infection rates. Afani says the laws only promote violence and fear.
Ever since that night, the mobs attack, life has not been the same any longer in this community. You know, the beating, you know, they seized my phone.
They came to attack.
Before the law, 15 new patients walked into his clinic every week. Now that number is down to 4.
The world is saying we want HIV/AIDS-free generation. We can't achieve that without including men who have sex with men. We can't achieve that without involving transgender people.
Nigerian officials say no one is being denied health services because of the law.
Where the law is concerned is when gays would go and congregate and show that we are gays and we are making love on the street and all of that. The law frowns at that. And treatment for any kind of disease in Nigeria is open to all citizens, irrespective of their status.
You cannot walk into a clinic, you cannot get drugs if you're HIV positive in Nigeria. It's nearly impossible. You are so restricted, you are so stigmatized, you are so discriminated against by the healthcare industry. So for him to say that is crazy.
Undeterred, Afani presses on.
When I wake up every day, I want to do more. I want to see people smile. I want to see equality that is achieved across board in Nigeria someday of our life.
Afani is absolutely a hero. I think it's very hard for people in the West to understand exactly what he's up against, the hostility and hatred that he's up against, and that the fact that he refuses to back down and goes into the fire and faces it is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
In Washington, D.C.'s gay African-American community, stigma and fear are keeping many from confronting the crisis. We follow Christian Page Bass, a young gay HIV-positive man who had his own fears about seeking treatment, as he encourages other gay men to seek health services.
You got it. I was saying the dream like he just did. I really love to sing. I think God gifted me with a talent to be able to use my voice to sing.
Christian Page Bass also likes to raise his voice with a message of inclusion.
We don't like to call ourselves a gay church. We call ourselves radically inclusive. Because we have transgender and we have straights or heterosexuals as well that attend the church. But I love it.
But the small town in North Carolina...
or you are a faggot. And it's... I don't like that term.
In 2001, both Christian and his mother, an intravenous drug user, were diagnosed as HIV positive.
Thank you.
When she died 5 years later of complications from AIDS, Christian was gripped with fear.
I looked on the dresser, and she had already started doing her pill box for the next week. And I looked at those pills, and I remember thinking, this is going to be the death of me. And from that day forward, I didn't want to take any more pills.
In need of a change of scenery, he decided to visit some friends in Washington, D.C.
I came to D.C., and I loved it. I seen all the gay people. I just was like, I want to stay.
The big question is always, have you missed any doses in the last 3 months?
A change of scenery also changed his views of his treatment. He met Justin Goforth, a nurse practitioner at the Whitman Walker Clinic.
He was really resistant to the idea of starting treatment for HIV.
It recently broke.
I think that he had a lot of really emotional baggage around his mother dying of HIV and the huge number of treatment and pills, really, that she was taking when she died, and now has become an advocate for people being on treatment.
Christian's advocacy has made him a regular on Washington's gay club scene.
Going to the club is work. I've had people come up to me and say, do you have a number, or do you have an email? How can I get in contact? I want to talk to you because I was just diagnosed, or I'm dating somebody that's positive. They're there for the moment, and then they're going, and they'll call me when they need me, or they'll text me when they need me. But we keep in contact.
Christian works as a part-time model.
When I got diagnosed and the doctor told me I had 2 years to live, I wanted to make sure people realized that you could take your medication and still be healthy and still look good and still be nice. You can live long. You don't really see AIDS patients like you used to in the 80s. You use the word AIDS and everybody's running. Use the word HIV, people will stay. Use the word I'm positive and nobody's going to move. But you use the word AIDS, it's like turning the lights on and the roach is running.
Insight is a supervised injection facility on the worst block of Vancouver's heroin district. Here, nurses give clients clean needles to inject illegal drugs. Researchers have proven the facility is effective at cutting HIV infection rates in the area. But critics argue Insight only promotes illegal drug use.
Vancouver, Canada has been called the jewel of the Pacific Northwest. But there is a darker side to Vancouver. More than 4,000 intravenous drug users live in the downtown east side. The alleyways around Hastings Street are open drug markets and shooting galleries.
This alley has a lot of memories.
Former addict Richard Teague has been HIV positive for 24 years.
When you're an addict and you want to get your hit into you, you go to the closest spot. And this is it, this alley right here. You want to, get your fix in you, and you didn't want to wait. You wouldn't wait, try and find a room. You went to the nearest place where you could be kind of out of sight, and do your fix and get your high.
The community responded by creating Insight, North America's first supervised injection facility.
When people are seriously addicted and their goal is that they're going to use the drugs irrespective of what we say, your focus then becomes on, if you're going to use this drug, how can we do it in a way that is safer, reduces the risk of infection, reduces the risk of getting significant wounds, reduces the risk of actually this individual putting demands on other aspects of healthcare.
Insight has 12 injection booths. where clients use their own illegal drugs under the supervision of healthcare professionals.
Water here, which is sterilized.
Clients are provided with clean needles, pure water, and supplies to clean wounds. When Richard was using heroin, Insight was his safe haven.
I know Insight's been a godsend for Vancouver and for a lot of people, because I know some weeks at Insight, they probably saved 10, 15 people from Modine.
One of the things we have done significantly is the growth in new HIV infections and Hep C infections has receded significantly. I think for HIV we're probably somewhere in the region of about 70%.
But Insight has its detractors. Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Conservatives in Parliament want the facility closed.
There have been multiple studies on these types of institutions like Insight in Canada or others in Central Europe. And some suggest there are public health benefits. Others suggest there are significant public health detriments in terms of increasing rates of addiction.
Dr. Julio Montaner says that healthcare professionals who created Insight were skeptical that it would reduce HIV infection.
Time and time again, the data came in saying, yes, it helps, and no, none of the concerns that me and my colleagues and the community at large had expressed had materialized.
Today, life for Richard is about balance and serenity.
Well, you know why I like this park? The reason I like it, as you can tell from just looking around, it's very serene. For me, it was a break away from the street scene, being in the back alley, beside a dumpster. I still deal with stigma because of my HIV, and I've been very open about it. But best advice that I can give somebody is you have to have a tough skin. I can't change it. You can't change what happened. You just got to learn to live with it.
19-year-old Maurice Williams is now willing to come forward with the truth. Born HIV positive, he kept his status secret all his life. If Maurice had been born today, his life might have turned out differently. A trio of doctors in the United States has created an aggressive therapy of antivirals that can force the virus into remission at birth.
Dr. Deborah Prasad is passionate about the prospects of a medical breakthrough. And there seems to be new hope for babies that are born HIV positive.
We're on a mission to find a cure for AIDS, but this is going to be a very long road.
Doctors Persad, Gay, and Luzuriaga are the trio that put an HIV-positive baby into remission for 26 months. The New England Journal of Medicine published their research last year, but new evidence indicates the baby has tested positive. Dr. Persad believes early drug treatment has far-reaching implications. Implications for people like Maurice Williams, who was born HIV positive. Maurice is getting regular checkups at Children's Hospital in Washington, where he was first diagnosed.
Try to look straight at me.
The first time I found out that I was HIV positive, I was 13, I was in the 7th grade, and I found out because I refused to take my medication unless I knew why I was taking medication.
He was raised by his grandmother, who never revealed to him he was HIV positive. Maurice's mother died from complications of AIDS. She never talked with him about the virus or his condition. His mother was only a child herself when her son was born.
My daughter was 15 at the time that she had Maurice, so I stepped in and took over because she's afraid of needles.
Growing up, I was very angry with her for a long period of time. But I changed my anger around when I found out the anger wasn't beneficial to me. It turned into empathy. Because my mother wasn't even strong enough to really, accept the fact that she was HIV positive.
Go to a restaurant and then gaze into each other's eyes.
Maurice is pursuing a career in theater arts at a university.
I feel like people put AIDS in a box. Clearly, AIDS isn't a death sentence anymore as it used to be.
Maurice is giving support to HIV-positive teenagers like Shani.
Make sure you put all your effort in it.
His counselor, Melissa Selavag, has encouraged him to be a mentor.
Give it all you got, but try to aim for the middle. Shani is 13, and 13 is the age where I found out that I was diagnosed HIV positive. And I didn't have anyone older than me or even anyone of my own age that I can relate to help me, you know, tell me that taking medicine will get better. Talking to him, it does more for me than maybe he even knows.
Dr. Prasad is meeting Maurice for the first time, where she can put a face to the people she's trying to help.
So we have a lot more work to do where it becomes a disease that's living with cancer or diabetes or any other chronic illness, because so many people are affected.
I may not be the person who changes the world, but I want to inspire the mind that does so. I believe that I can be great. I believe I can live a long life. I wasn't supposed to be here now.
Contrary to popular belief, corona is not a hoax. The virus is real. Be responsible. Wear a mask. Wash your hands with soap and water and avoid crowded places. Maintain physical distancing. Be responsible. Together, we can overcome the pandemic.
Hola, ¿cómo está? This is Tea Time on Plus TV Africa. We are an entertainment analysis show that does it better than nobody, if I do say so myself. We basically analyze and dissect all the hot topics, you know, give you the intricate details and basically put each other on the table. We also have the most important stuff that happens during the entertainment scene that we also report to you and inform you on. And when I say we, I mean my co-anchors, and I have the gang. Quincy Jones and Ifolo Oshike.
Wagwan.
Hi, people.
Quincy, what's up?
Hey, Owalsi.
We get it. I can
What
tell
is
you
that?
my
Timberland.
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 Ooh, yeah.
And the guy, and then I asked, I'm like, how much is this t-shirt? I say this t-shirt, 7K. I'm like, why? And he said, Baba, you know, see, I'm designer.
I go even stretch out for you.
I'm like, really?
As if you pull out, you know, go to
I did tell you.
Like I plan to get in fights, you know. They'll be telling me, then pull up, if it's here. Like, so I look like I want to go
now.
get in fights.
When are we breaking knives? Anyway, how was your weekend? What did you guys get up to? I have to think about it.
I did a lot of oh, dude, yeah. Yesterday, a friend of mine, AQ and Luce, they took me to this spot in Lekki. And I'm not even messing with you. We have to go there. I literally ate the best grilled fish in this entire
Okay, you've had me at fish. What?
Grilled fish in this entire I'm not even like...
Where exactly?
I went throughout.
Yeah, you can't mention
in
the
Lekki, yeah. Somewhere in Lekki. Bruh, I got it for you.
Are you sure it's the best though? Cause
okay.
What?
Are you sure it's the best?
Bro, Nick, dude, I've been around the block.
Okay.
You know? Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you,
then
Finn? Sorry, you're not done.
Then there was clubbing. Weirdly enough.
Where did you go?
There was one in Ajah, weirdly enough, and then there was one in legs.
Legs. I like that.
These are my legs.
Wait, you never called your legs?
No,
Nobody's ever called it
Nobody has
legs,
ever
dude.
called it. It's when
Are you being
don't-
serious?
Come
legs.
No,
This
no,
guy.
Quincy,
This
no.
guy.
Onis.
No,
Onis.
nobody did that. No, it's too short. It's
It
Oniru.
was-
It's too short. What?
Or LM.
What's that?
LMB.
What's that?
LMB.
What is that?
Since we are giving them
What,
our
what's
code.
LMB?
Vicky.
Lamak. LMB. Anyway, it sounds like
Elash. I like Elash.
Yeah, Elash sounds good.
I'm going to Vicky's.
Okay, so we're helping you.
Victoria. Victoria Island. I'm going to Vicky's.
Vicky's.
Now, can we just move on? Because you guys are just taking a piece
Anyway,
now.
yeah.
No,
what
but
about
it
you?
was legit called a leg.
Nah, nothing
from like
to speak
2019.
about on my weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
wasn't feeling too well, so I just recovered this morning and then a little bit of problems again. But I'm good.
Yeah.
I think it was malaria and the stress.
Problem, not the finish. Problem,
Actually, what
not
did you just
the
mention malaria?
finish.
Huh? What?
What? What's wrong?
Have you taken the vaccine?
Oh, no.
Have you taken the
I don't
vaccine?
have anything that has to
Not
do
yet.
with my
Please, though, we
cavity.
don't do dialysis on our own. Thank you very much. Until you do a test.
Don't worry, I'm good. It's stress malaria.
I feel you, Sha. I feel you. I had 3 weddings, and we're all from the same set in high school. Clearly, we don't talk to each other because that should not be happening, guys. But it was really cool. It felt like a mini reunion. I saw people I had not seen over 10 years, really.
Nice.
So that was nice. Really,
Please,
really
quick
nice.
question, because this happened to me at my last reunion. The prettiest guy in school at that time, is he still pretty?
No!
What about the
Boom.
guy? or the
No,
girl?
I think
No,
we've
no,
all
in our
caught up,
case, it's
that's
the
why.
girl. No, I'm
What
just
about the
asking for
prettiest
her.
girl?
She's just now like everybody else. I
Very
think we've
well.
all caught up,
Right.
actually.
Yeah. It's like, no, that time
Yeah.
you just
But
that time
they're
you
still- I
just
think
you
they're
just
still
believe in that
pretty
you
though.
feel quickly grow past. You just go find anyhow.
But there are some that have flourished. I'm like, girl, where has
What's
this
that?
been? Like
Was
some
there any
people have
rich one?
really.
Was there any rich one?
I think we're all rich. We're trying our best. I didn't go to.
Oh, you're all rich?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Guy,
you're
what
like
kind
on the
of
same
secondary
level.
school did you go
I
to
don't
that
know,
you
it
have
really
to start
depends.
measuring wealth? Because we're all good, man.
But let me know, like, there's levels,
Wait,
please.
y'all is rich?
Our rich is rich.
I knew you was gonna do that.
There's some people that will say they're rich and I'm like, okay, I'm definitely poor because
You know, biz dog. Biz dog.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, God, we're poor. See, don't chase away my helper. I'm not rich.
I swear.
Very poor.
Alrighty. Okay, so the episode today, we're gonna start with a few sad stories just to get out of the way. I don't know if you've heard about it, but US rapper and actor DMX has died. He died at the age of 50. We've been reporting this on Tea Time a lot because he had a heart attack at first, and that was for 5 days. And the performer, whose real name was Earl Simmons, had been placed on life support and died with his family by his side. In the statement, his family said he was a warrior who fought till the very end. Earl's music inspired countless fans across the world, and his iconic legacy will live on forever. Then DMX, aka Darkman X, was a leading hip-hop performer who collaborated with such artists like Jay-Z, Ja Rule, LL Cool J, everybody really. He took his moniker from the name of a drum machine used in rap tracks. The chart-topping artist songs included Party Up in Here, oh God, let me lose my mind, that one, and X Gon's Give It To Ya. He also acted on screen, appearing in such films as Cradle to the Grave, Romeo Must Die, and Exit Wounds. Born in Mount Vernon, New York in 1970, DMX publicly battled substance abuse for years and spent several periods in rehab. A father of 15, yes, 15 children. He served jail sentences as well on charges include animal cruelty, reckless driving, drug possession, and weapons possessions as well. Anyway, apart from that, he was still very, very much loved. According to his family, DMX died on Friday at White Plains Hospital in White Plains, New York, so he died at home, which is really cool for me. He loved his family with all his heart, and we cherish the times that we spent with him. This was a statement that they produced as well. So yeah, rest in peace, DMX. Off to you guys.
It hurt me a
this
lot.
Okay, go on.
Sorry, it hurt me a lot. And then for weird reason, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we actually both just said, I think he's actually going to die. I don't know why, but a lot of people just felt like maybe this was it. But I really would have wished he actually came out of it
and then
saw the madness, the chaos in front of the hospital for him. It would have been amazing. And then a video of him talking about how he got on crack. It just, that messed me up. So apparently his young boy is about what, I think 12 at the time. Then he's trying to rap and all of that. 12 or 14, I don't remember. It's within that age bracket. And then, you know, trying to rap, and then he's dropping nice bars. And then the guy he looks up to, actually laced his stuff with crack.
What?
Countless times, and then he just got hooked on it. Just messed his entire life up, you know. He cried about it while he was talking about it. Yeah. Tried to get off it countless times, you know. Moved the whole Jesus way. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, it's not easy. Addiction is not, it's not a joke.
It's a problem. Anyways, you know, DMX is that rapper that influenced a lot of our childhoods,
Absolutely.
especially mine. And I'm even glad someone like M.I. came out to say that this was the guy who made me want to rap, because a lot of people look up to M.I. in this part of the world. So he's someone like that. So imagine, and he has a very good career, you know, being a rapper. So imagine other kids out there that just look up to DMX. Yes, the drug addiction, I think all of us saw beyond that when it comes to DMX. Even though we know he had his battles, even though we know there were things that were right in his life. You know, when he came out and he was looking all skinny and stuff and unkempt, a lot of us were worried, but the moment he started spitting bars again, we just forget all of that about him. So one thing I would just say is, to me, it's a celebration of life. Because I think he lived his best life, especially with the amount of people he touched. I know DMX prayer. There was a time when I was feeling like, oh yeah, that's the prayer. Like if I wake up, DMX prayer, I listen to DMX prayer 1, 2, 3, and I just put it on replay. Do you understand? And that's my own form of communicating to God. So even a man like that could bring me close to God in the type of way. Then imagine how many other souls he's touched. This guy's always reading the scripture. So yes, he's an addict, but at the end of the day, did an addict make impact in the world? Yes, it did. So to me, it is a celebration of life.
Absolutely.